Hello, this is David Beloff, and I am here at the Generic Theater in Norfolk, Virginia, and they're putting on the show Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. And I have the distinct pleasure of getting ready to talk to, right now, Mr. Morrie Schwartz himself. Hello, Morrie.
How are you, David?
I'm doing well. The question is, how are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty well myself, I think.
Excellent. And I just saw the show Tuesdays with Morrie, and you talk a lot about death, but I felt that the undertone was really more about life and living than anything else. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, David, you can't really separate life and death. They're all the same thing. You live and you die. It's all one. You can't really separate them.
After seeing Tuesdays with Morrie, I feel that I should think about my death every day of my life so that I live my life to the fullest. Did I get the point?
Well, that's certainly part of the point, but you said you should think about your death. Do you want to think about your death, David?
It's I'm starting to feel like it's something I need to do more than want to. It's something so that I fully recognize my life and live life to the fullest every day. Is that what you do?
Well, that's certainly what I tried to do, but I have to say I didn't really understand what the whole thing was about until I was fatally wounded, if so to speak. So I was not quite aware of the full context of life and death until I got facing death myself. I think it's a good idea to look at things a little earlier than even I did.
Tell me about your life.
Well, I had a very full life as a teacher at Brandeis University, and many students who I loved dearly, and of course a family life, and of course teachers have quite a gig going there for themselves, don't they, with the tenure and so forth. It's not that we don't work for it, but it's a pretty easy life, really, very intellectual, and it's very easy to forget the feeling end of things, which I also did to some extent, but I think I held my own in that regard.
Why did you become a teacher?
Well, I wanted to have the connection with the young people and sort of give them a preview of what was coming for them as they go down the path of life. And I also wanted to open their eyes, because we live in a very materialistic culture where we put too many things ahead of relationships and love. Let's face it, you make too much of possessions and not enough of the connections between and among people. So we have wars and we have terrible things going on in the world where everybody is contending with everybody else instead of sharing and becoming more peaceful and loving and so forth. And I thought that if I could open young minds to these sorts of things through great literature and studies such as sociology provides, but of course I don't do just sociology in my classes. But anyway, I wanted to have some sort of connection with young people and perhaps maybe do my little bit to make a better world.
You asked Mitch a question, and I want to repeat that question, and I want to know why you asked him this question. You said, "Mitch, are you at peace with yourself?"
Yes.
What does that mean? Are you at peace with yourself?
Well, are you happy with your life? Are you content with what you're doing and where you're going? He turned it off. He didn't want to look at it, as many of us do. How many times has somebody in your life, even an acquaintance, been dying and you knew it and you didn't go to see that person? You put it out of your mind. You said, oh, well, he doesn't want to see me. Oh, well, visitors will be disturbing to him. People in the hospital and so forth. How many times has that happened to you?
Wow. It's hard to put a number on how many times, but it's certainly happened.
Oh, yes, that's the point I'm trying to get you to look at. We all have done that. I did it with my mother. Mitch did it with his uncle. We deny the fact that the person is dying and needs our presence.
Well, then let me ask you one more question, Morrie. May I call? And I've been calling you Morrie. Should I call you Mr. Schwartz?
No, I don't think so. After all, I'm dead.
And didn't you have you had two funerals now, didn't you?
Yes, but I was only present at the first one.
How were you present at your funeral?
You mean the second one or the first one?
The first one.
Well, I went there. I went to my funeral, my living funeral.
So you had a living funeral, and
yes, and then after I was dead, I had another funeral, but I wasn't there.
Could you describe what a living funeral is?
Well, a living funeral is when you're sitting in the congregation, and in fact, you plan the funeral and you call the people and have them come, and then you're still there.
And would you recommend someone have a living funeral?
Absolutely.
What? So that they can what?
So that they can get the benefit of all the love that people have for them and all the memories they can remember together what their life was all about. So imagine if you were present at, or if you're, let's say, have you had anyone? Have you been to a funeral recently, or even not recent, of a loved one?
Yes, I've been to a funeral of a loved one.
All right, and has it been like the format where people get up and they remember the life? And they say what a wonderful person it is, and sometimes they clean up the slate, and so that it sounds like the person never did wrong. But that's okay. And you've experienced that. Well, imagine if the person were there to hear all those wonderful things that people are saying about them. Think of the pleasure it would give that person.
You know, I might go home and log on to Facebook and make an event invitation to invite all my friends to my funeral right now, tonight.
Right, and you could have one every year on your birthday.
This is perfect. Do we have to call it a funeral? Can we call it a celebration of David Beloff?
Well, are you afraid of the word funeral?
Here we go. The sociology professor at large.
It's not a dirty word, David.
I want to close with one more question, Morrie, and that is, if you have one opportunity to give some type of words of wisdom or advice to all the people out there listening to you talk right now at this interview, what would that advice be?
Well, it would be the advice I give to Mitch at the end. Forgive everyone, everything.
Forgive everyone, everything.
Yes. Yes.
Carrying that weight on your shoulder is quite a burden.
Because when you get to the end, you don't care. You have to think of it in terms of what happens to you at the very end. When you're ready to leave this world, or you're coming to the door where you're about to leave this world, you're not going to care what the argument was about.
Right. Yeah, you're very much true to, in the Jewish religion, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. It's all about forgiving other people, asking God for forgiveness. And ultimately, that goes back to what you just said as your words of advice to all the listeners out there. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, I think that is the final culmination of the teaching, the teaching in the play, and then after that, it's all very personal between Mitch and me.
Very nice. Well, sir, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're very welcome.
And I hope you are resting peacefully.
I am resting very peacefully, and I will rest even more peacefully when this show closes.
Yes, from your lips to God's ears. Thank you so much, Morrie Schwartz.
Thank you, David.
Tuesdays with Morrie at the Generic Theater, an incredible script. It was a beautiful movie and an absolutely lovely book with an incredible theme. Go see Tuesdays with Morrie at the Generic Theater.